Yo, people, welcome back. Premier League predictions 25-26. Now, last season, I made my predictions. I then went on to not address said predictions. Why? Well, we didn't have the time. But there was also some howlers in there from not only me, but also you. I was embarrassing. You guys were embarrassing. You guys were getting at me for putting Manchester United 8th, and they went on to finish 15th. So, hey, I may have put West Ham 5th. Things may have transpired that weren't planned or prepped, but listen, we're back and we pray. Hopefully these won't be as bad as some of the previous, but there was some on point. Fulham, I got them completely correct, and Chelsea in 4th. So we progress, we digress. Now, we're going from bottom to top, right? We're going to get through those relegation rhythm individuals, and then we're going to get ourselves to, the meat and drink. Title race talk, right? Because that's what you're really here for. But we'll begin from the bottom, and we'll start with Leeds, and I'm putting Lord Farquhar, bottom. This manager for me is just smelling of championship. He was here with Norwich. I wasn't very impressed. Leeds have done some business. They've signed Longstaff, but they've also signed some kids as well. I don't really know how it's going to work out for these individuals because I've not watched them, but I just have to relegate one of you. And out of all of you, you guys are the ones that have done the business that I recognize the least in terms of individuals that come into the league and give you guarantees. I've seen Sunderland make moments and magic in the window. I've seen Burnley bring in the Carl Walkers of the world. If he's on point and concentrating, he could lead that team somewhere. I don't know what with you guys I'm really getting, but I'm not getting good vibes, and the manager honking. I've also got Wolves in 19th. Wolverhampton Wanderers allowed Noni Madueke to dunk on them on social media and in real life. He said it was a shithole, and then he got a hat-trick on the head top in their own town. And now, where is he? At Arsenal. So, that just says it all at the end of the day. The guy scored about 3 goals after the hat-trick on game week, whatever it was, 3 or 2. So, listen, it's not looking good for you, bruv. And especially when you lose Matheus Cunha and Out Nori, it's definitely not looking good for you. So, you've lost 2 key players. I know you brought in Larson, but yeah, you've lost a lot of GA and a lot of creativity and a lot of output. So I'm putting you in 19th. In 18th, we're going Burnley. Burnley, I like Burnley. I got a soft spot for Burnley. Not only were they the disruptors to the tiki-taka with Sean Dyche, made the Europa League, done wonderful things in this world. And also, it's the saying, isn't it? Can you do it on a Wednesday night in Burnley? But also, they've got Okechukwu and they've got Armando Broja. So they're bringing in players that, I have an affinity with, I have a connection with, I have a history with. But I'm still relegating them. And Humphreys as well, actually. So there's a lot of guys from Cobham, but I'm still relegating them. I do think they can survive. I do think they could get above a Brentford, who I've got in 16th, in 17th, sorry. I do think they could get above a Brentford. They could joust for that position. I expect the relegation battle to be a hell of a lot closer than it was last year. Last year, it was in the pits of hell. There was no competition. There was no drama on the final few weekends. There was nothing. It was just pretty clear that the 3 teams that came up were god-awful. I'm giving Burnley a chance to survive. I think the bottom 5, if I actually extend this to Sunderland in 16th, I think the bottom 5 are in their own little league. I think they're quite interchangeable to a degree. I don't expect Brentford to be bottom. I don't expect Leeds to be 16th, but I do think that these guys are all dealing with similar pieces of the puzzle, and 3 of them will be relegated. Sunderland, Adingra, Diarra from Strasbourg, Enzo Lafay, Xhaka, the captain, the leader, right? The former Arsenal and Bayer Leverkusen individual. I expect Sunderland to stay up. And I know you could do a lot of business and you can do, all the glitz and glamour in the world in the window and still not really make it out the hood. But I have to give them a chance. They're the Black Cats, Premier League heritage. We need that, time where Derby as well, someone to keep Newcastle in their place, because it's not like they haven't been, put in their place by all the other clubs in the window this summer. We'll get to them in a minute. But yeah, Sunderland are Premier League heritage. They've made a lot of big-ish signings in terms of the names as well. I've heard Diarra did great things at Strasbourg as well. And they spent a bit of money. So listen, it might not work out for them, but they're at least really putting their best foot forward and they're trying. They might get a penalty, fair. They might have not tapped their oyster. They might actually get a fine. They might be points deducted in a few years. I don't know what road they're going down. I'm not accusing. I'm just saying, is it a Nottingham Forest storyline that we're going for here at the Stadium of Light? Who knows? But I see light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, yes, that pun was bad. All right, let's move up into the next part of the league, because I do feel like from 9th all the way down to 15th is pretty much interchangeable as well. I feel this part of the league, all the managers are of a reasonable, good Premier League, reliable quality. Their squads have all been kind of nitpicked by the bigger teams in the Premier League this summer. So they've lost a lot of key players, but they haven't lost enough key players for me to think that they're going to get relegated. Now, some of them may get dragged into a battle if they overly, audaciously, outrageously perform poorly. But I expect then their owners and boards to sack their managers immediately if they're dwindling down in the pits of the Premier League. So I'm not going to just, go down the road of, they'll go down, because I think there's no loyalty with these guys. You're too good to do too bad, in my opinion. You're rated, and if you're really bad, then you'll be out the door, because it's just not expected or acceptable to be in the relegation battle with these guys. So Fulham, good, stable team. They've done no business. They've done absolutely nil. No, nothing. I went through their transfers. I refreshed the page. I even went onto Yahoo. I went onto Bing. I was already on Google. I was on Internet Explorer. I was on all sorts of browsing and search engines looking for some summer transactions. I saw absolutely nya. So I'm only keeping you here because of Marco Silva, because your manager is certified and verified in this Premier League. If not, boy, you might have been with Brentford. West Ham, I've got them in 14th with Graham Potter. Not the most inspiring, he's not the most inspiring individual, is he? They've lost Moyes, and all those years ago, I don't know if they're regretting it, but it hasn't gone well with Lopetegui and Potter ever since. They just ended last season on an absolute whimper. It's almost like they were limping to the finish line. They didn't really want to be playing matches. They wanted to be on the beach, near the Thames, River Thames, But listen, West Ham have still got good players. They got Bowen, they've brought in Callum Wilson. Okay, if he can keep himself fit, we know he can get goals, but he is on the other side of 30. They've lost Kudus. They've still got Paqueta. They've got Somerville that they still haven't ignited, who was really good at Leeds in the Championship. They've got good players. Ward-Prowse, it feels like a lot of players are kind of on their way downhill as well. Like it feels like quite an aging squad from just my taste buds, my tingling, tantalizing taste buds. I can just taste age. It's just, it just doesn't sound like a very future-proof team. But there is guys in there that have quality, There's guys in there that have ability, and they shouldn't be getting relegated. They might not be fun to watch. They might not have a great season. It might be very boring over there in the Olympic Park, but they should at least stay in this league. Do you know what? Before we go any further and get ourselves further up the table, this is actually sponsored. Your transfer knowledge will have knock-on effects with Final One Stand-In by William Hill. It's free to play with a chance to win a share of £500,000. No admin fees and guaranteed winners. All you got to do is pick one Premier League team each week. If they win, you're through. If they lose or draw, you're out. Download the William Hill app, scan the QR code on screen, or click the link in the description below to enter. Register for free and make your picks for a shot at £500,000. You have to be 18 or over, and it's UK and Ireland only. Remember to always gamble responsibly, and the full terms and conditions apply. Link for that is in the description. So there you are, guys. Last man standing. Listen, I still need to pick my team this weekend. I still need to make my priority clear for game week 1. It is as difficult as it sounds in terms of the fact that, yes, it's easy to pick a team. But when I looked at the fixtures, I ruled out almost everyone. Almost everyone. There are some gimme games where you think Tottenham should beat Burnley at home or Chelsea at home to Palace. But when, big boomba money on the line like that, it does make you second guess yourself. Sunderland at home. That might be a little fixture for you to look at. But listen, if you want to get involved, the link is in the description. The QR code is on screen. It's free to play, and I'll be involved. You know, I'll be in the league. I'll be hoping to keep myself involved for as long as I can, but it is difficult. You know, you can get knocked out pretty quickly. It takes one shock, one surprise from one big, you know, club losing to like Wolverhampton at the Molineux, and almost everyone's out. So it's going to be very interesting and fun. But listen, moving on to the rest of this, Bournemouth in 13th. I've got their whole defence getting absolutely robbed and riddled by basically everyone in the world, whether it was Real Madrid, PSG, Liverpool, Bayer Leverkusen, you know, with Flecken. Their whole defence just got ripped apart. But they still kept Evan Nilsson. They still have Semenyo as it stands, as I speak. So Bournemouth for me are well coached, well managed, play very well, and have a good recruitment system as well. So whatever players they've lost, even though they are extremely talented and well thought through signings when they brought them in, clearly, they've turned an incredible profit. I am still going to put them up this high because I just feel like they have a baseline that they won't fall below. Same goes for Palace with Glasner. Yes, they're going to lose probably Gurhi, probably Eze. They've already, lost Elise prior. You know, in prior win, they have been picked apart a little bit, but they've still got Adam Walton, they've still got Mateta. Sarr's a good player. Lacroix at the back is a good player. Henderson in goal had a great game on the weekend against, Liverpool in the Community Shield. Again, there's a baseline for me. And Palace always finished 12th. In fact, in their last 4 seasons, they've either finished 10th, 11th or 12th. So this is just really a banker. This is really just a certified banker that you can just sleep easy and put them in a position where they're familiar with. They have Conference League, so I've actually put them a little bit lower than last season where I put them 10th because I just don't want to underestimate, the 2-game-a-week factor for them. But yeah, I've put them in 12th. And I'm sure Palace fans probably agree with that and have recommended to do so. Everton I have in 11th. Now, it's very dangerous to potentially overrate Everton because of the incomings. They've got Barry from Villarreal to partner Beto. They've brought in Dewsbury Hall. Grealish is coming in. Ansnu is coming from Bayern Munich, apparently highly rated, sought after left back. So they've brought in a lot of exciting, talented individuals to come into the team, and they had a pretty good end to the season last season to get them up themselves up the table. David Moyes is a really solid coach, really solid manager, so much experience at his former club, new stadium, really good vibes. I think the fans are going to be behind him. They've seen some injection and some ambition in the squad in terms of the building and bringing in new players and some quality, which they needed. And they still got Ndiaye on the left flank. So if I'm seeing Ndiaye and Grealish and Dewsbury Hall linking up, potentially it might not work systematically. I don't know how David Moyes is going to do it, but just in terms of the pieces, I'm excited. And they've always had a very good defence. When you go back and look at Everton's teams, their defence is always pretty sturdy. They don't concede loads of goals with the Pickfords, the Tchaikovsky and Braithwaite, So I think that's fair. Forest I've got in 10th. Alanga obviously losing out there to Newcastle, but they brought in some Brazilians in Cunha, in Jesus and in Doi. I don't know about any of these individuals or how they'll do. I'm not going to take Club World Cup performances and inflate them like a World Cup where we all saw, certain players have a good World Cup in all those, campaigns and then just go off the face of the earth when it came to club football. But I am excited and interested to see how these Brazilian guys do, the trio from Brazil. And I've put them in 10th. Again, they've got Europe. I just feel like that's going to take its toll. And they massively overachieved last year, finishing 7th when they was in top 4 for all that time. It shouldn't really happen again with other teams up the league actually sorting themselves out. And you'll see everybody here has kind of dropped a couple of places to last season purely because Tottenham and Man United, I'm not expecting them to be down there again. Brighton, with Huzla, is in 9th. They've lost João Pedro, they've lost Adingra, they've lost Esteban, and do I recognise a single signing they've brought in that are all under 21 and all got potential and all been scouted by the Brighton transfer, model that just keeps ticking on and on? Absolutely not. But that's why I've put them this high. If you don't recognise a Brighton player coming in through the door, they're probably good. That's just the logic I follow. They've got good recruitment. It's pretty damn sound and solid. Baleba, if you're a believer, is now quoted at 100 million. We really probably, the neutrals, the casuals, you didn't really know who this guy was before. So let's be honest, they do magic. So we have to respect that heritage and history. And actually, they've got quite a deep squad anyway. The guys that they've lost, they didn't play from the start week in, week out all the time. And to add, finally, I just also feel that no European football for them is going to be a big help as well, 1 game a week, because they've had European football, previously. Spurs, I've got in 8th with Thomas Frank. I'm going with them in that position purely because the window so far is... That's the expression. It's Kudus, it's Polinia, but there's still more to do. And they're in Champions League. And I think that is why they've got to be down this low, is just purely because Champions League football, with the lack of, for me, still quality depth. Madison out for a long time. Kulusevski's out injured. When he comes back, let's see what he's on. But again, there's a lot of young players in that attack, like Odegaard, and I just don't know the consistency that we're going to get from a lot of these guys. Solanke hasn't pumped up big numbers last year. Richarlison, I'm not rating highly. The defence, yeah, good players, but not enough for me. Not enough. I've got them in 8th. Newcastle in 7th. They've been picked apart. They've lost a lot of players to other clubs this summer. If they had got all the players they were after, I would have actually put them probably in Champions League football in 5th, because they would have signed some really good talented players, whether it be João Pedro, Mbeumo, Ekitike, Trafford. They were going after real quality individuals, but they lost out on all of them, and they're probably going to lose Isak. Who they'll replace him with will definitely 100% be a downgrade, at least for the short term, at the bare minimum. So yeah, you can buy Jacob Ramsey. You could do those things like a Langer, but it's capped for me. It's very much capped. There's a ceiling on those signings. Jacob Ramsey has struggled with some injuries here and there. So yeah, not moving the needle. 7th, you got Champions League football as well. Villa, I've got you in 6th. Villa is again a team that hasn't really been able to really flex their muscles in the window. Maybe that's PSR. Maybe that's FFP. Maybe that's BLT. Maybe that's B. I'm not going to go any further. Yeah, but you get my point. They're 6th. Emery's in 6th. They've got good players. They're in Europe again, as well. They got very good players. They've still got Marlon, with Watkins, if they keep him. They've still got good players. They've still got options in midfield. I'm just capping them here because they've not really improved the team by tenfold. They've lost Rashford, obviously, the loan deals to Asensio, etc. Man United have got 5th, 1 game a week. A lot of quality's coming through the door in terms of the attack. They have literally transformed themselves. They are unrecognisable up there. If they're not playing Højlund, they've already added an extra 5 or 6 points, in my opinion. And Cunha and Mbeumo are pretty consistent in terms of what you expect to get from them in this league. Now, they still need more signings, and they could still make signings. They're still linked with midfielders or goalkeeper. So I'm doing this with the terms and conditions applying that they're going to get some more players through the door. Where they're finding the money from, how did they let, Dorothy, the canteen lady, seek employment at the job centre, but then manage to go and spend this kind of money in the window? You'll have to ask them. You'll have to ask them how they're doing such things and looking, in the mirror and sleeping at night, making those decisions. I don't know. I personally wouldn't be able to sleep with those decisions that you're making, but it is what it is. It's a ruthless game. Big up Dorothy. Arsenal in 4th, Arteta and his merry men. I'm putting them there purely out of hatred. No, I'm joking. Or maybe a little bit. No, it's purely because someone's got to be there, Again, from 5th all the way down to 8th in my predictions, I'm pretty much bunching those teams together and saying, again, in terms of quality, in terms of options, in terms of the window, in terms of depth, in terms of what competition you're playing in or not playing in any competitions, European-wise, I'm bunching you guys together in that fight, and it's very interchangeable, it's very flexible. And then the top 4 is the same. Liverpool obviously have the edge in terms of, what they've done this window, but I've put Arsenal in 4th, and 4th is not a disrespect in terms of you're going to be miles off it. I expect 4th up to top to be all pretty close this season because all the business has been very promising. Arsenal in 4th with Arteta purely because I don't think that attack is clicking as of yet. Now, I'm not watching your preseason games and I'm not, digging too deep into those things, but I just feel like you guys are going to have to make quite a lot of tweaks to get the best out of Gyökeres. And you're going to have to play a more direct, fast-paced style, which Arteta's got to do. You still feel a little bit rigid to me in some moments, a bit robotic. Madueke on the left wing, I'm not moved by. You need some creativity. You need someone in the middle of the park that's going to progress the ball centrally, rapidly, outside of Zubimendi. I don't think the midfield depth is great. The midfield is good, but I don't think the depth is good. If Zubimendi gets injured, there's nobody like him. If Rice gets injured, there's nobody like him. If Odegaard gets injured, maybe actually that's not the worst case because you've got Ranieri, but he's really young. So I'm not Lokonga, I'm not. Yeah, the defense is great. Defense is brilliant. That's probably one of the best defenses in world football. When you look at the options, the depth and whatnot. Chelsea have got in third with Maresca. Or do I? No, I'm putting Man City third. Man City are going third. We're walking into the sunset right now. Pep. Yeah, Pep, you're angry. I get it. You know what I mean? You're drawing for blood. It's been a rough year. It's been a rough window. No, it hasn't. You've spent a lot of money. Checkbook manager. How can I say that as a Chelsea fan? The cheek. No, but seriously, Maresca and Pep, I feel like these two bald brothers here, you know, you used to share the same facilities. You probably could interchange quite closely. I expect us to be really close to City. We finished fourth last season. They finished third. They have brought in a lot of players. Really a lot of quality, but I think the defense and the holding midfielder and Rodri being injured again is the crux, is the reason why I'm putting them close with us. I just feel like there's a lot of injury-prone centre-backs at that club, whether it's Stones, whether it's Diaz, whether it's Ake, whether it's Akanji, who missed a bit of the chunk of it last year. There's just a lot of guys that are not really reliable. And then I don't trust Matheus Nunes for a full campaign at right back. I don't trust Aït-Nouri defensively either. And your wingers, you're probably going to try and get Rodrigo, but as it stands, it's not the most prolific set of wingers you've ever seen in the world. Obviously, Mamouche, Cherki, you know, Haarland, centrally, you know, Rendes. There's loads of quality there. Absolutely. If Foden goes back to form. But there's enough to work with on a negative side where I actually feel like we could be quite close. Chelsea in second, just because that's as high as I can place them without people going absolutely berserk in the comments. You probably still will. But last season, I predicted Chelsea to be in fourth, and they finished fourth. So maybe, just maybe, I know what I'm talking about. Chelsea is second, just purely because I'm really upbeat with the season. I think there's a lot of great players come through the door. In terms of João Pedro, looks to be the guy. He is him. So I'm excited for that. Esteval, obviously adding to this team, he definitely looks like him. And then there's obviously some young guys like Delap and Gittins who will kind of be rotated in and out the team off the bench and whatnot. And there's probably still more signings to come as well. So yeah, the midfield is for me one of the best midfields in the world. The attack for me is one of the best attacks in the league in terms of chance creation last season being second highest. And now this season having more clinical ball strikers. So that should go hand in hand. Fingers crossed. And then defensively, yes, you could definitely comment on the lack of big names, but there is a rigidness and a leadership level that has been established over the last few months, and they've just got to keep that consistent. Maybe it won't be, but yeah, I think Chelsea, they're going to surprise people. And up front, up top, it's Liverpool. Unfortunately, it's first for Slot again, with Isak coming through the door, which he will, for a British transfer record, on top of another British transfer record in Florian Wirtz. We just can't keep up with these big spenders, guys. It's difficult out there, you know? It's rough. It's really rough to have to deal with these big spenders. How can we compete? Kirkes, Frimpong, Gurhi's coming in through the door. It's just relentless. Ekatike. And then Rio as well. Oh, the pressure must be on Liverpool right now. And rightly so, because they're great. Really, really great. You know, champions elect. They're champions last year. Second season for the manager. Confidence is booming. We can't compete. So I'll put them top. And I think you can see why. Salah, record breaker. Heartbreaker too, maybe, with that new hairline. Van Dijk. Alisson, oh, I could be here all day. It's honestly, it's mouth-watering. I can't even get the words out. Mouth-watering stuff. So, yeah, I've said enough. They're going to win the league. Guys, make sure you let me know your predictions in the comments down below. What are you expecting? What are you thinking and feeling going into the Premier League season? What are your predictions? I've tried to go through this quickly because if I had gone slowly, we'd be here for half an hour. And retention. So, let me know. Am I moving mad? Am I doing too much? I probably am, but you know, the consequences won't be there because I won't probably review it. So it is what it is. Smash up the likes, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you guys next time in a bit, people. Peace.